What's up, everybody? This is Alex Edwards. I'm here on Alex Edwards Vlog channel, but today we're doing something a little different. I did a little bit on my last video, mixed in with watching a game, preseason game play-by-play with the Jags. But this time around, I'm gonna do a separate video, only predictions. Week 2 of the NFL season. Week 1 was wild and crazy. I was blown away. Let's make sure this stuff is getting recorded right in audio. Yep, we're good there. Alright, so let's get down to it. Don't have time to waste. First game, tonight. It is Thursday, September 11th, 2025. Never forget what happened 25 years ago. Or 24, I don't really remember. I know it was September 11th, I just forgot what year. Don't be harsh on me for that too much. But, anyway, tonight, Commanders, Packers, Thursday Night Football, the official first Thursday Night Football game of the season. Last week they treated it as a Sunday night game, which made no sense to me. But, regardless of that, we have a game tonight. Packers came out strong against the Lions week 1. Pulled off a beautiful win. I couldn't believe how they managed to keep the Lions running game very limited. They got Jared Goff. Micah Parsons came and did his job for the first time for the Packers. Very good. Very nice. So, off the rip, I like the Packers' new revamped defense. I like Packers' offense is not looking too shabby. Jordan Love is really starting to come to flourishing. He's starting to become his part of the team for real. He's very developing, not too bad. I like the Commanders has a pretty decent team. They showed out last year. They made it to the playoffs. They knocked out. I believe they knocked out the Lions. So I could be wrong. My memory is hit and miss sometimes. Green Bay Packers defense versus Brian Robinson, Jaden Daniels, and Scary Terry. But I have to take the Pack on this one. I feel like Packers on a roll. They're in Green Bay. They have this new juice of life with Jordan Love. They just re-signed Christian Watson, I believe. And Michael Parsons, I hopefully play some more downs. And I just think they have everything more going for their team as of right now. So I'm just going to take the Packers on week 1 Thursday Night Football against the Commanders. Next, we got Browns and Ravens. Joe Flacco versus Lamar. And that's about it to me. Because, I just don't see the Browns doing a whole lot. They just don't really have much besides, a decent running game and maybe a couple of good players. I have to honestly, I completely forget about who's on the freaking Browns sometimes. They're always changing up so much and trading and this and that and the other. I always tend to forget who the hell's on the team. So let me go in here real quick. See who's on the team because I honestly just forgot. So I want to see who's on the team. So, okay, Jerry Jeudy. I did forget that he is a Brown. So they got Joe Flacco versus Lamar. They got Samson, who actually did pretty... Oh, my screen has to load. I hate when the screen loads and shoots you back up to the top of the page for no reason. But you got Derrick Henry versus Samson. I forgot Samson's first name. But 12 attempts for 29 yards for Samson. 18 for 169 for Derrick Henry. It's Derrick Henry. I mean, he's always going to make a whole freaking fuss and just destroy defenses on the run game. Despite that costly fumble that he had that really sealed the game for the Buffalo Bills last week, I'm going to have to give it to the Ravens. They just have an all-around better thing going on. Jackson looks good. Henry looks good. Xavier Flowers has just balled out. Uh, his hands are great. I like how he cuts up the defense and gets downfield a lot. He did crazy 7 catches for 143. It's absolutely amazing. It's 20 yards an average of catching. It's just incredible for a wide receiver. So I'm definitely liking that. So I'm definitely gonna take the Ravens over the Browns. Uh, Flacco still had a good game despite the loss. So as long as he keeps that up, I still see him keeping that starting position. But I still have to take the Ravens over the Browns here, man. It's usually just how it goes for those teams. So it's looking pretty good for the Ravens on that game to me. Let me get back up here. Everything got all discombobulated. All right, and then we have those boys from Duval County, the Jacksonville Jaguars, playing the Bengals. That to me is a very interesting game on the fact that Jags came out and won very strongly against the Panthers. I know it's the Panthers, but still, I just thought we had overall better run game. Trevor looked a lot better. The defense looked a lot better. We got to the quarterback. I felt like we kept the run game pretty manageable, and I felt like we did all right on defending. So, to me, this one's very 50-50, even though I know some people think Bengals will run all over us. To be honest, it could go either way. Of course, I'm gonna take the Jaguars. It's just I have to. I feel like picking against my team is just gonna bring bad juju and a curse. But averaging way more points per game right now, even though it was one game, they're sitting ninth while Bengals sit 20th. We got double the rushing yards on them. Like I said, one game, all the numbers are going to be all over the place. Once you get past the first month, then that's where you start seeing who's who. But as of right now, I'm taking the Jags on the pure thing is I think like we got a young, hot team. Offense is starting to pick up. Defense is starting to pick up. We have one hell of a kicker in Cam Little. We know what he can do. So if we ever get in a situation, past midfield, we can kick it, and we can stay in it. The thing is, we have to not buckle in the end of the game and lose on our own accord. That is what the Jaguars have faulted in years prior, and we just can't beat ourselves. We do that, we can beat teams. I have the feeling, especially as we're seeing how the Chiefs have been playing. The Niners just came to a couple big major key player losses. So if a lot of the stuff could be in the favor of Jags really starting off hot if they can keep the right mindset and keep this winning mentality going. But we got Joe Burrow, Chase Brown, and T. Higgins versus... I don't know why they have a W for Lawrence's name here. That's odd. His name is Trevor, not what? I don't know who messed that up. It's not W. Lawrence, it's T. Lawrence, but okay, someone messed up there. Trevor, Travis Etienne, Travis Hunter, BJT, Brandon Strange, Dewey on offense. We have Trayvon Walker. We have Josh Hines Allen on defense. We have all the key pieces to really push strong and make for a good, really, first 2 months of the season. If we just got to avoid those injuries and avoid shooting ourselves in the foot. So I'm taking the Jags on this one against the Bengals. It's going to be a close game. It's not going to be a blowout like with Carolina. I definitely don't think that's happening. If that happens, then someone on the Bengals really need to evaluate who the hell's doing what on their team and making them lose that bad if they get blown out. But I don't think that's going to happen. So the next game we got Giants, Cowboys. Granted, we'll make fun of the Cowboys. They held their own last week against Philly. They lost on really a bunch of bad catches, missed catches by CD. Other than that, that game would have won a different way, and that would have been a tougher win for the Eagles. So, and they're in Dallas against Giants with an interesting quarterback situation. Listen, I liked Russ in the past. I just feel like Russ's age has caught up to him, and this is not the Seahawks no more. He really didn't do well with Pittsburgh last year. That's why he's not on Pittsburgh again this year. And I just don't think it's in him anymore. I think he's past his prime on that. I think we've seen what he can do, and it's gone now. I'm just waiting for Jackson Dart to get his start, apparently. To me, honestly. And when that happens, who knows? But I'm rooting for Jackson to get a chance at this sometime this season. Because I just don't think it's Russell's game anymore. I just don't think. Russell has done his job. The fact that they're paying him still so much is just wild to me. So I'm giving this one to Dallas. I think Dallas starts 1-1, and I think they go into next week feeling a little better about themselves, even though they have the people who's in charge that they have, and we don't need to name names because we already know who I'm talking about. But Dak looked a lot better. Williams in the backfield is nice. They have Blue in the backfield too. They have a decent run game. CD just needs to catch some balls, man. CD needs to catch them. If that happens, they do a lot better. But, like I said, Russell being your number one rusher, he seems scared in the pocket. That offensive line is not really helping him too much. Malik Neighbors got held to 70 yards. They can do better. I don't think they're going to beat the Dallas Cowboys, so definitely taking Cowboys in that one. Let me do a quick phone check because I had messages early. Alright, just see what the wife was saying to me. Alright. Let my page load up here. Take a little sip of that nice brown juice here. My Do It Fuel. And we have Lions and Bears. Oh my. I'm just going to say, I don't see Dan Campbell losing 2 games in a row. I don't. That team is too hot to be shambling up that fast. Especially with the iffiness of the Bears offense, of not really having much of a run game. DJ Moore seems to have gotten a little shaken up last game, Monday. And yeah, again, when your quarterback is your top rusher, that's a problem. And your one of your top catchers in DJ Moore is shaken up. Granted, Cole Kmet looked nice. Kmet, I'm sorry, did I say his name wrong? Cole Kmet. They can do a lot better, but losing that game, a very winnable game against Vikings, and they let JJ run all over them and just show out on them in the fourth quarter. That's a recipe for disaster for a team to lose confidence very quickly. And you need that confidence at the beginning of the season to build that snowball and keep winning. Because that is not going to help you shaking this coming into a game against Goff and the Lions. Especially because you got the dual-headed monster that I don't know how Green Bay did it last week of keeping that run game down, because those two, Gibbs and Montgomery, are amazing. They were amazing last year. They're just going to get better. You got Tesla, who was good. They had a nice catch. Sam Laporta. You have so many options on that offense for the Lions. That Bears defense needs to be ready, and they really didn't look ready at the end of the fourth quarter. So I hope they don't carry that into the next game, because the Lions are going to run all over them if they do. But I'm taking the Lions over the Bears. That's how it is. All right, moving on. Dolphins, Patriots. I'm calling this the dud game of the week. Don't see a lot happening. I see it as a very low-scoring game. Unless somebody in the Dolphins franchise all of a sudden wakes up and then just on one. I don't see much coming out of it. Tua has played awful. He's running around with his head cut off like a chicken. And the Patriots are still in rebuild mode. I like Drake May. I feel like they could build off of him. They just need to find their niche and get going. Like I said, I don't really know. They've been rebuilt, so I got to see who really is on that team right now. Oh yeah, the rookie Trey Henderson. I like him. Is it Trey? Or was that? I know it's almost like the Bengals D lineman, so I don't want to mess that up. Trayvon Henderson, and their top receiver was Butte. I don't know if the O is silent in his name. Excuse me. But this is going to be a very up in the air game. Very 50-50 to me. If Tua can play better and we can get Hill more than 40 yards a game, they can win this one. But like I said, Drake May is not bad. The running back Henderson has really shown he can do a lot to help the Patriots. So I really honestly don't know where to go with this one. This is a very 50-50 ball game to me. I don't see where they have the Patriots. Silence that, sorry. I don't see where they have what their NFL people have this game being. But anyways, like I said, very up in the air. I might have to give this one to the Dolphins because I think they're gonna take the beating they got last week and use that as fuel to fire and win this week against Patriots. I think Patriots lose it at the very end. And I think they go into the week 3 kind of figuring out how they operate with Drake May and stuff. So, I'm sorry if you hear that in the background. It's my cat being a brat. She's mad that she can't get in here. So I might have to take care of that in a minute because she's going to distract me with her constant meowing. And the next game, Chiefs. Niners Saints. We got a 1-0 Niners versus an 0-1 Saints. Niners pulled off a nice, decent win last week against, I believe it was Cardinals. Let me take care of it 1 second. I'm sorry. You gotta go. Sorry about that. But the Niners pulled off a nice win over the Cardinals. The Saints did not look that hot to me. I'm still very iffy about their quarterback situation. Always think Kamara is good, even though I definitely think he's at the later stages of his career. And they have such a new team that it could be a very up in the air game, despite there being no Brock Purdy, no George Kittle. This is all going to fall on Mac Jones, Christian McCaffrey, Ricky Pearsall, sorry. And it's just going to be one of those games like whoever can really stay together, glued the best in this game is going to win. Mac played for the Jags last year. He was like one of those. He either had a good game or he had a bad game. It was kind of 50-50 on that. So this one depends on who can get more completions and better drives and at least get some field goals in. Because this is another game without Purdy and Kittle. Going to be a low-scoring game. Unless Mac just hands it off to CMC 40 times the game, 50 times the game, and this has him running. But he's also, coming off an injury that is going to limit him. And I think if they have to hand it off that many times, that ups the injury rate for CMC to go down again. So it all depends on how Shanahan calls this game. If CMC has a good game, I'll give it to Brock, and excuse me, I'll give it to the Niners to win this game. Spencer could show up. He could come out of nowhere and have a game himself. But I'll have to go. I'm just gonna have to go with the Niners on this one. They're more, you know, stable. They're more congealed team. They've been together longer. They know how to play their game a little bit better. So I'm just gonna give this one to Brock Purdy and the 49ers, even though I think Purdy's out. So I don't know why I keep saying his name. Sorry. All right. Got a couple more games. We got 2 Monday Night Football games this week. That's kind of awesome. I love as much football as you can force feed me. I'll take it. We got Bills Jets. Interesting. Jets could have won that game. I think they fell apart after halftime. I just think the Steelers really got to them, and you can't let 40-year-old Rodgers throw 4 TDs on you and expect to win a game, because that never happens. You're never gonna win. You let that dude throw 4 TDs on you at 40, so that's just wild to me. But you got Josh Allen, you got no, not Geno, my bad. You got Josh Allen, you got Justin Fields. I do like Fields. I think he's more of a better competitor at this point in time, better than Russ was when they were both at Pittsburgh. You got a pretty decent run game with Breece Hall, and you got a very decent receiver with Garrett Wilson. So, on that thing being, if they can divvy up passing or rushing and keep the Buffalo Bills, who seem to be a little shaky on defense last game, if you keep them on their toes, might have a chance. Granted, you still have to freaking worry about Josh Allen and what he can do to you. Because there's a lot of things. He can pass all over you, he can run all over you. So, being that they came back and beat the Ravens like they did, doesn't really look good for the Jets coming in the week 2. So, I'm going to have to go with Josh, just on the fact that the kid can never be counted out. He is an absolute menace when the game is on the line for him and he needs to make some plays. He becomes a superhero and makes some crazy, awesome plays. So I'm going to give this one to Buffalo. I feel like Buffalo stays on one. I feel like they still got the chip on their shoulder for not making the Super Bowl still, even though they've been a Super Bowl viable team for multiple years now. Excuse me. I feel like they just have this ever-living, never-dying chip on their shoulder to just keep pushing until they get that ring, which I assume before Josh Allen leaves and is done, they're going to get one. I feel like all those years of going to the Super Bowl and not winning year after year after year is building up to a potential at least getting one. If they go the rest of the eternity with only having one, at least they got their one. So I'm definitely giving this game to Buffalo. Sorry, I got a little allergies on my nose here. I was constantly itching on my left nose. Seahawks, Steelers. Geno, Aaron. Let me let this door in because she's not going to stop unless I open this door. Go over there. Alright. You gotta let me do this work. You gotta let me work. Next game, Seahawks, Steelers. Rodgers. Oh, I'm sorry, I said Geno. Geno, I'm so out of whack, man. everybody moves too much for me. Geno is on the Raiders. He's not on the Seahawks anymore. I'm so sorry. Sam Darnold and Rodgers. My bad. I did like Sam a lot last year. He had one with the Vikings. He was on one and he was just looking good. He had a very complete year, and I felt like they could have done more, pushing into the playoffs, and they got knocked out. Rodgers being 40-year-old Magic Man, ayahuasca taker, just goes to another level when he's in his game form. And he could either be just not good or he could be fantastic. They have Darren Warren, Devon Warren. What the hell is his name? They only put the initials, so I always forget. So they got Warren, DK Metcalf on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So honestly, this is one of those games that whoever has the better game can be more complete. I have to take this. I'm trying to do something, Missy. She is being an absolute brat right now. I'm so sorry. Jackson Smith and Jigma Charbonnet, Sam Darnold in Pittsburgh. I have to give this one to Rodgers and company because playing in Pittsburgh is a very tough environment. You're never gonna get a very clear reading of your snaps and your plays because them Steeler fans, they get loud, they stay loud. So after seeing what Aaron did last week, I feel like he's found himself another little home there in Pittsburgh. Regardless of how the fans feel about that, he's winning. And as long as he's winning, I think you'd be happy about it. Not the biggest Pittsburgh fan, but I feel like in this environment, with that roster, they have a winning team here. So I'm going to take Rodgers and Steelers in this game. They still have that Mike Tomlin aura of just win regardless of the situation. Good team, bad team, home or away. Those boys find a way to win, and it's crazy. That's why that coach has 0 losing seasons. So, on to the next game. Despite my little girl being loud and obnoxious in the background, I do apologize about that. She wants the attention on her most of the time of the day anyways. Next game, we got Rams, Titans. A game of new blood versus veteran capabilities, and they are in Nashville. Cam Ward, he looked decent for his first start. Could have done better. Held his own for the most part, even though it was a tough loss for them. I like Matthew Stafford. Puka is very awesome, even though taking a bloody eyebrow and a potential concussion almost, and then saying, no, I'm good, and continuing, and then winning that game, putting up 130 yards. That's amazing. That is a football player all the way. Loved how he performed. Stafford is Stafford. He will always be good. I don't know who's naming the names on the NFL site because they are all wrong. His name is Matthew, and they have Jay Stafford. I don't know who's messing these names up, but someone needs to be talked to about getting the right names put down for the initials because someone's screwing up horribly. Cam Ward in Nashville. I believe this is their first home game. She needs to show up for that Nashville crowd and give them something to feel good about because last year they didn't feel good about it. They lost last week and they need to come off with a win, especially because the amount of disrespect was shown to them, but no one talking about them at all. Granted, we had something to do with that. didn't mean for it to happen that way, but it just did. That's kind of what happens when you're the Heisman winner. They talk about you more. I have no shade against Cam Ward. I think he's nice. He can do good. It's whatever. But this game here, with Stafford, Puka Nacua, a decent running game, I have to give it to the Rams. I just think they are more of a veteran team. Devontae is always someone who you need to look out for. They have such a good O-line. Matthew always seems to be having plenty of time in the pocket. And he always seems the way to get that ball down the field. And he can score when he needs to score. So I'm taking the Rams in this one. I'm sorry if I don't really know a lot of the players too well. I'm very new at looking into the depth chart of other teams. I usually didn't really care that much. But I'm trying to give you all some better content and more different variations of my channel. So I'm doing my best to try to learn a little bit more, and we can grow together on learning who these new kids are in the league and how they can better their team. So we're all learning and trying. Some people may know more than me, some people know less. So whatever we can learn together, or you guys can teach me more in the comments. Whatever it is, I'll take a look, and I'll do my best to make every video a little bit more informed. I know I'm a little gray in the area of knowing who's on whose roster, apparently because I've already messed up a couple times. But next game, we got Panthers, Cardinals. Not the biggest Kyler Murray fan, not the biggest Bryce Young fan. Do they both need work in my eyes? Yeah. I feel like Kyler is very sporadic in the pocket. I feel like he makes plays that he doesn't need to make sometimes. It gets very shaky and panicky. Same with Bryce Young, even though I feel like Carolina doesn't have that decent of an offensive line. This is not, and once again, this is all very opinionated on my part. Nothing's fact. Everything is game to game. It's just how I feel seeing these highlights of how they played. Jags just played Carolina. I feel like we had Bryce very panicked. I feel like they didn't help him very much on the side of protecting him in the pocket, and that's why he got chased around. Oluwakan had Defensive Player of the Week for the AFC. We put a lot of pressure on him. So Bryce Young could come out the gate and do a lot better this game, depending on his situation. So we got Kyler Murray versus Bryce. I always like Chuba Hubbard, though. I think he's a very decent freaking running back. We got Trey Benson on the Cardinals. We got Marvin Harrison Jr., although the name is great with him. You know, he has the Harrison name if he can just be great. He hasn't really come into form yet to me. I feel like he's still in that phase of figuring out how his offense is and how he could be more productive with him, even though I feel like this year he'll have a way better season. I do like McMillan. I think that kid is going to be great. I hope he can do more to make the Panthers better, because Bryce Young needs a lot of help. He doesn't have very much. He just lost Adam Thielen, who went right back to the Vikings, had himself a game with the Vikings. So that McMillan can really come into form now, that probably becoming the number one target on that team. They have a decent run defense to me. Although ETN did get a run all over them, I feel like they can do a lot more on defense as well. So in this game, though, I do feel like the Kyler Murray and them have a little bit more gelled since the last couple of seasons. I feel like they've done a little more scheming and playing together, and they know each other just a little bit better to bring out that win. So I'm going to give that to Kyler Murray in the Cardinals. I just feel like they are more salt and pepper team, as like they've played enough well together to really know how to get a win over a team like Carolina, who's still kind of getting all their pieces set together. So I feel like I'm going to have to give it to the team that knows each other a little bit more on that part. And you need to stop interrupting me. You're being very rude. And we got Broncos Colts. And wow, what a game Daniel Jones had, man. As a guy who really kind of shat on him a lot, he shocked me for once. He really put me into perspective of, okay, it's not usually the player, it sometimes can be the team. Because, wow, Jones in Indiana Jones, different dude. What a game. That was fun to watch him, especially because I just feel like he looks so comfortable. He looked like a different guy. And I was just absolutely floored of how he went, and then he like did some kind of like statistical record of 7 drives, 7 scores, which hasn't been done in forever. And I'm just like, wow, okay, this is the same guy who was being called all these things trash on the Giants, comes out and just balls out. Then he got a fresh second-year sophomore of Bo Nix, and you got the pretty decent, if not very good, Denver Broncos. So definitely Daniel needs to watch out for this one. He could come out feeling that hype, and the Broncos could just shut him down if he doesn't play with his head on a swivel, especially with some of those DBs for Denver. They could really embarrass him coming off such a great game and then put him right back to step one on remember who you are kind of deal if the Broncos defense comes to play. So I see this game as more of a run game for Taylor. I feel like there are a lot more screen passes. I don't think he's going to chuck it down the field as much. He'll probably get a 1 or 2 or 3. But I think definitely he'll go into this game being very wary about that Broncos defense. I do like Bo Nix. I've been on the Bo Nix train since last year. I like him. I think he'll come out good. He'll come out, a little bit better than he did last game. I feel like he'll see the mistakes he made. I think he'll pick up on those. And I feel like he'll make better decisions this game. Indiana defense, little 50-50. They could do good. They could let Sutton run all of them. It all depends on the types of plays that Bo Nix makes and the decisions. If he makes good decisions or bad decisions. If he makes bad decisions, you're going to let Indiana run all over you with this one. But, excuse me, if you stay poised, let your offensive line do their work, and keep very medium drives going, don't try to do too much, Bo Nix can win this game. It all depends on if Daniel Jones is still feeling himself, and if that Broncos defense comes in and gives him a slap in the mouth. So once it's one of those games that could be, 50-50, 60-40 type of game, I'm going to have to go and give this one to Denver on just their defense looking so good this year. I think they're going to put it tough on a lot of opposing QBs. And as long as they can keep Casey in the cellar, Denver has a chance of a playoff push this year. And it could be a really good year for Bo Nix and company to really make a name for Denver after years since Peyton Manning left, and they've had kind of a slump after that. It's been kind of hard for them. So I'm going to give this one to Denver. on account of that just that pretty solid defense they have. All right, got 4 more games here. Chiefs, Eagles. All I gotta say is it gonna be another talked about week with this team, and what a dogfight this is gonna be. We all know it's gonna be. No, nothing shocking about that. Andy Reid's gonna do whatever he can do to keep this team going 0-2, because that's just not how they roll, and I know they don't want to start out that way, because boy oh boy, if they do, they're never gonna hear the end of it, and this is gonna be more fuel to the fire of making that team want to play so hard in the second half of the season. Then you got the defending Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles. What a team. What an all-around great form team. They really have everybody's number at this point to me. I mean, unless you can stop Jalen Hurts and Saquon and that tush-push play on 3rd and 4th downs, it's going to be hard to make this team lose. You have such a team that just knows each other so well and what plays is going to work on what downs. And as of what I've seen, people have struggled to stop it. The camaraderie with the Eagles has what gave them the Super Bowl win has kept them pushing. And I feel like they're going to start out strong. I don't see them really having much of a losing record in the beginning part of the year. What that says later on in the season, who knows? Any given Sunday, shit can change. Patrick Mahomes had a great game. Everybody else on this team did not. A lot of bad flags on their offense and their defense. The bubble-headed play on Kelsey injuring his own dude. They're doing everything in their power to make everybody laugh at them. And I know they can do better than that. They've done it in the prior. That's why they have back-to-back Super Bowl wins. So either the clown show continues or they correct themselves and put a stamp on everybody to shut up about how they've struggled since the beginning right now. And since losing the Super Bowl. They don't want to be the laughing stock. And they're going to eventually do something about it. But on my pick, I just have to take the Eagles on just being on such a baller run right now. They're so well-rounded. If you can't stop Hurts, you have to learn to stop Saquon. If you can't stop Saquon, you got to stop A.J. Brown. If you can't stop him, you got to freaking learn to stop Goddard. And you got to learn to, push past that strong Eagles offensive line. There's a lot of parts they have to worry about. And you got a Kansas City team who's kind of hurting right now. Especially with Rice being hurt. Now Xavier's hurt. All you got really is Hollywood Brown really doing the production here. Kelsey kind of didn't really have much of a game. He didn't really do a whole lot. So the parts working versus the Eagles is just really causing them to struggle with everything right now. So this is going to be a game of the ages if Pat can put on a show and get his team to rally back from these last 2 games of really struggling to get shit to going and get something put together. But, Andy Reid is a great coach. Nothing short from him. He'll get something going. If they can get it the whole game, it could be close. If not, Eagles blowing this one out, and it'll be embarrassing for anybody who's a Kansas City fan. So on that part, I'm taking the Eagles just because too much shakiness with the Chiefs right now for me to have much confidence in them winning this game. And then we have to play them in week 5, so who knows what's going on with that. If they're still shaky in week 5, that could be a lot of trouble for the first month for the Chiefs. And that's not good for them at all. Falcons, Vikings, Sunday Night Football. Interesting game. J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr. at U.S. Bank Stadium in Minnesota. Lucky for you, it's only September. Not going to be freezing cold. Could be a little fucking cooler. You won't sweat your ass off, but it'll be not a cold, freezing game where nobody can catch a ball because their fingers are freezing. J.J. McCarthy coming out of that Monday night win looking like he just summoned every seasoned veteran quarterback and just pulled out a win for the team. Absolutely amazing. What a play for that kid. Not to lose his cool and panic, but to come back and rally and back and get a win. That was amazing. Props to JJ on that. But you have a team with a decent quarterback in Michael Penix, who threw for almost 300 yards. Tyler Algier. Bijan Robinson, who has that running game locked down and can really put a hurt on some run defenses. It all depends on Penix staying poised in the pocket, finding his wide receivers, and then utilizing Bijan in appropriate situations to really keep JJ, Justin, Mason, and Jones and that Vikings team on the ropes. So this could be another one of those 50-50 games. And like I said, it comes down to the two very young quarterbacks of can they boot and rally their team to a win, and what could be a very close game. The fact that Falcons almost beat Baker and the Bucs says a lot about the Falcons and how they've managed to rebuild that team in the last couple of years to something very, very decent that's very winnable, who could come and surprise and shock and take the NFC South from the Bucs. So to me, this one, just on the part of having more seasoned players and just a stronger head coaching position with Kevin O'Connell, I have to take the Vikings on the point of just knowing how to win more and pushing a lot to playoff potential more than a just newly formed and starting to get together Atlanta Falcons team. So I'm going to take Vikings over that. Justin Jefferson can really be a clutch guy if not defended well. JJ seemed to figure out how to pull wins out. If he can keep that mindset up, it could be trouble for a lot of teams playing the Vikings. Then you got Aaron Jones and Mason, who are starting to come out as a very strong dual-headed monster in the backfield. So look out for the Vikings if you're playing them, because they can shock you. Even though you think, this Sam Darnold sort of stayed. JJ seems to be like, I'm here now, and it's my team, and we can win with me, and I don't fall under pressure. So kudos to him for that. I got to give him props. Texans. I almost said Titans. Bucs Texans. As a Jaguar fan, of course, I have a little bit of a bias against the Texans, especially of the last 2 years taking our division away and making it theirs. I feel like we should come back and rally for that. But besides the point, CJ Stroud and the Texans versus Baker and the Bucs. To me, this is going to be a very challenging game for the Texans. On the point that the Bucs have just been on a tangent of stamping their mark on the NFC South and telling people it's theirs. They win a lot of games that other teams I feel like would struggle in, and they keep pushing to the point that we are a playoff team too, and Tampa has been ever since Brady left. They've had this mantra of we are that team now since winning that Super Bowl with Brady, and kudos to Baker for keeping that mantra up because I still feel like they are on one to put another strong playoff run in the works. Nick Chubb, loved him in Cleveland. I feel like he was always the best one on that team. Higgins is not bad at all. I like how they've really put together a nice little core group of players that can really help CJ progress a lot better in his early years, make him more of a decent starter. But he's just got to keep that mindset, that poise of being able to pull out necessary wins. Do I think he'll be able to do that against Tampa Bay and Baker? Igba? I don't think so. Egbuku, I said that wrong. Egbuka? Egbuka. It's a hard one to say. I like that kid. He showed out last week. I just think the Bucks still had that mindset of just being a strong enforcer team in the NFC South that we're the ones to beat. On that point, I think Texans could play a little bit, but I think Baker and them just run away with the game, and I just think it's going to be a very high-scoring game for Tampa. I'm going to take Tampa Bay because I feel like Baker, ever since getting there, has made that his team, and to me, they're the team to beat, and the NFC was one of the strong NFC teams to beat right now. And the last game, late Monday night game, Chargers, Raiders. And what I gotta say is I like Pete Carroll. I think he's a great coach. I think he, as one of those coaches like Tomlin, knows how to push a team to really know how to win unwinnable games for themselves sometimes. And then you got the fact, someone messing up again. Now they got E. Smith, like he's Emmett, but it's Geno Smith. I don't know whose job it is to write the names down. They're screwing up right now. I can't believe this is crazy. Anyway, Raiders do have a winnable team. Geno is a veteran. Genty looks nice. Brock Bowers looks nice, even though I think he hurt his knee or his leg the last game. So he might be a little more sparingly used this coming around. And then you always got to worry about Max Crosby on the defensive line. That's always going to be a trouble for these teams, especially teams like Herbert, because I know he's gotten after Herbert before. So if they can play well in defense, this definitely can be a close game. But then you got the team who just downed the Chiefs on Thursday. And wow, what a shocker that I did not see coming. Herbert balled out, looked comfortable, offensive line protected better. He really came to fruition and really stepped up and made a name for himself, saying, I'm not going to be the laughing stock of the NFC West. The AFC West, the AFC West. I'm not going to be the laughing stock. I believe he's the rookie Hampton. Very low yard game. Still to work on. I still think he could do well behind that offensive line that has seemed to come together and performed well for the Chargers. Quentin Johnson, second year, seems to be the go-to guy for him, looking great. And I just like how they stamped their mark against the Chiefs and woke everybody up and saying, we're here to win too. On that note, I really feel that this could be a close game. Whoever can stay healthy will get less penalties. I feel like that's the winner. Do I feel like the Raiders can come out and put a marking stamp and win this one and get 2 in a row, yeah. Can the Chargers do it too? Absolutely. If you can keep Crosby contained, keep Herbert off his back, I definitely see the Chargers winning. This is a hard one to pick. A very even teams here that it could go either way. Um, I feel like they can come off their high and keep pulling out wins after beating the Chiefs for the Chargers? Absolutely. So, for me, I feel like Pete Carroll, being that seasoned veteran coach that he is, excuse me, I feel like he rallies one, and with that defense, I feel like the Raiders could pull out a win here. Probably could be an unpopular opinion, especially coming off a win against the Chiefs. But that might, that might get in the head of the ego of the Chargers too much if they don't be careful. So I'm gonna give this one to the Raiders. I feel like Raiders come 2-0, sit behind Denver at 2-0, and I feel like KC at 1-1, and I feel like Chargers at 1-1, and they come back around and they really see who is the better AFC West team this year. All right, then. So that was the last Monday night game. That are my predictions. Are they going to be right? Who knows? Are they going to be, spot on? Probably not. It's a 50-50. That's why it's one game a season, one game a week, excuse me. Any given Sunday, the team that's poised to lose could win. Team that looks like a monster could lose. Who knows? That's why we make predictions. That's why we come in here and give our opinions. And we rally for our teams. So on that note, have a great day. Good luck to your teams. Cheer hard for them. And have a good day. And always, Duval. Have a nice day.